Hello, my most amazing artists. Our word of the week is self-portraits. A self-portrait is a portrait of the artist. You're going to make a portrait of the best looking kid you know. That's right, you. But it's always great to get some inspiration before you start. So let's look at some self-portraits created by artists who are both alive and some who are no longer living. Let's start with one of the most famous artists whose name is Pablo Picasso. And as we are gazing at this amazing work of art, let's talk about the elements of art, shall we? Line, shape, color, baby, color, form, value, texture, and space. These are the ingredients that are necessary to create each and every work of art in order for it to be a successful masterpiece. So listen up, all you Picassos out there. That's the list of what we're going to be using to create our self-portraits. Let's take a look at another self-portrait, one by an artist whose name is Vincent van Gogh. He's the guy who's most famous for his work of art called The Starry Night. Check out that background. See all those moving lines? It might remind you of that painting. Now let's talk about something called the principles of art. The principles of art are like the sugar and spices for every masterpiece. They are what's going to make it awesome and unique. They are balance, proportion, emphasis, variety, movement, rhythm, and harmony. And as we look at this next group of selfies, let's see what principles of art we can find. This is a painting by Judith Leister. She is one of the first female artists. She didn't normally wear plates around her neck. That actually is a collar, which was the style of the day. Judith Leister created in a realistic style, which was also the style of the day. And notice that her principle of art she used is proportion. Her face isn't too small or too large for her body. It's in proportion with the rest of the picture. Notice that the picture she's working on is also in proportion. It's smaller because it's a smaller canvas. Let's take a look at another female artist. This one is one by an artist whose name is Frida Kahlo. She's a Mexican artist. And if we could draw a vertical line right down the middle of this painting, we would see that Frida is using the principle of art known as balance. This painting is almost completely symmetrical. She's got dragonflies on either side, same with the butterflies. Her face is staring straight at you, and it is symmetrical. Notice that she also has a monkey and a cat, one over each shoulder, as well as a necklace that continues to add to balance. Frida Kahlo had a very tough life, so you'll oftentimes see symbols in her work of art that show the difficulties that she had. That necklace, which doesn't look very comfortable, that would have been a symbol to show some of the pain she felt during her life. Let's take a look at one of my favorite self-portraits so far. This one is by a Chinese artist who's a contemporary artist, meaning he's still alive and creating today, and his name is Yu Minjun. Notice that in this painting by Yu Minjun, he used the principle of art known as emphasis. What do you think he's trying to emphasize? If you're thinking it's that big smile, then you are correct. I also really like the way that Yu Minjun used value in this painting. Check out all of that pink he used on the face. Light pink, dark pink, purpley pink, mauve pink, red pink on the lips. He must be an expert at mixing different values. Another one of my favorite contemporary artists is one whose name is Kenneth Wiley. This is not a self-portrait. He often paints portraits of friends or other people. What I love about this painting is not only is it very realistic, but it also has a lot of pattern in it. Notice how the pattern is not only in the background, but also in the front, which you know is the foreground. And our last contemporary artist we're going to be looking at is one whose name is Chuck Close. Chuck Close is very famous for painting very large portraits of people, and this one is a self-portrait. Chuck Close used a lot of shape, color, and he also has a lot of variety in this painting. So as you're starting to work on your self-portrait, not only will you be thinking of the elements of art, but also those principles of design or principles of art. Balance, proportion, emphasis, variety, movement, rhythm, and harmony. And we're looking one more time at Pablo Picasso. Notice that he used a lot of blue in this painting. In fact, this painting is almost entirely blue. We could say that it is mono, which means one, chromatic, which means color, a one-color painting. And we're ending with this one because when you color your self-portrait, you will also be making it monochromatic or one color. All right, let's get started on drawing portraits of the best looking kids we know, and that'd be us. Guys, when you draw your self-portrait today, you're going to be working on a piece of paper that's pretty small because everybody in the school is going to be creating a self-portrait. We'll be putting all of these self-portraits together to make one self-portrait mural. So you'll be using a Sharpie today, but if you want to, you can get an extra piece of paper to practice drawing on first because as you know, a Sharpie is a permanent marker and it doesn't erase. Before you draw anything though, you might want to start by using your finger and drawing the shape for your head. Usually a portrait is a head, neck, and shoulders work of art. So I'm going to start by drawing a letter U. That U will be the bottom part of my face. So I know that if I make a U that's too small, then I'm not going to have much room to draw my self-portrait. If I make that U too large, then it's probably going to be so big I won't have room for details like my hair or my ears and my neck and shoulders. So what I always like to do is do a little bit of a ghost drawing. Ooh, and I'm just practicing with my finger because if my finger can do it, then my finger can tell my hand what to do. So it's always good to practice it 3 times at least. When you feel like you've got it, go ahead and take your Sharpie and you can draw that U shape that's going to be used for the curve of your face. Now your face is not perfectly symmetrical, meaning it's not exactly the same on both sides. So if that shape isn't exactly perfect, it's okay. So there we go. I've got that bottom part of my face. I'm going to start now by adding 2 vertical lines from my neck. You have a mirror on your table so that you can see your reflection. You might notice when you look in your reflection the shape or the outline of your shirt. I'm going to go with a curved line for my shirt. I have space for my shoulders. You may or may not. It does not have to look like mine. In fact, I really don't want it to. So make sure that you look carefully in the mirror. Just relax and do your best. Now I'm going to work on my eyes. If I blink really slowly, I will feel my eyelids working. And my eyelid is shaped like an arch. I've got 2, one for each side. Look in the mirror to see the shape of your eyelid. If you even want both eyes open or closed, it's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and add the bottom shape. This shape looks a little bit like an oval, except that it's pointed on the ends, and since it's pointed, it's called an ellipse. Look in the mirror and decide what direction you want your eyes to be looking. Your iris, or the colorful part of your eye, is shaped like a circle. So I'm just drawing a circle shape there. Next comes the pupil, which is like that black dot. It changes in size. If you want to color it in, but not all the way, that'll give you a reflection for your eyes. Eyelashes keep the dust and dirt out of your eyes. You can add them, but you don't have to. Eyebrows show your emotions. So look in the mirror and just try changing your eyebrows a little bit. See what kind of emotion you want to show in your self-portrait. I like to do my mouth next so that I know that I'll have enough room for my nose. There's also an idea sheet on your table to give you ideas for your self-portrait. I'm gonna go with some silly lips like that. And have my mouth open a little bit. Next up is my nose. You might want to practice drawing several different kinds of noses. The choice is yours. Your ear is kind of shaped like a C, but since you're staring at it from the front, it looks like a very narrow C. Now, I don't have a lot of space for my forehead, so those two lines that I originally made for the U, I'm going to bring them up. Looking in the mirror, I know that my hair kind of goes over to the side, so really see if you have bangs. Check out what your hair is doing. If it's long, you don't just have one strand of hair, you have many strands of hair. If you want to add a bow, earrings, or decorations to your shirt, or even the background, I say go for it. When your face is finished, then you're ready to add color. Color is totally up to you. You need to pick the color you want to use because remember, we're making a monochromatic or one color self-portrait. So I chose green. When you color your face, please use colored pencils. Anything else, you can use markers, but when you color your face, please use colored pencils. Not just one color. You want to use a variety. Remember, that's one of those words we were chatting about. All right, so even though my eyes aren't green because I chose to sit at the green table, I am using all green. And what I like to do, since I'm only using one color, which is monochromatic, I like to change the value. Meaning sometimes I can press really hard and get a dark value or a dark color. Sometimes I can press lightly and get a totally different value. So you're going to need to color everything monochromatic. That means one color. But don't forget, you can press a little harder and change the value. All right, I'm going to work on coloring this and then we'll talk about using markers. Okay, so I finished my face. I used a couple of different kinds of colored pencil just so I would have a variety because that's one of those principles of art, one of those spices to make my artwork even more awesome. So I'm just going back and using different colored pencils because I can only use colored pencils on my face. I can use colored pencils also in the background. But if you want to start to use markers, markers is where you can use markers you can use in the background. The only place you can't use markers is on your face, and here's why. Markers are very dark. If you use markers on your face, I'm afraid you're going to start to lose all of those beautiful details that you added for your face. Markers are really great at filling in spaces that are nice and big. It especially helps if you use markers on that side. If you hold them on their side, they'll be able to cover a bunch more space instead of just holding them on the tip. However, if you do put it on the tip, it does a really good job of filling in small spaces. So I think I'll use different kinds of green markers for my hair. And then maybe add some patterns and designs in the background. Oh yeah, I really like that bright green for my hair. All right, I'm gonna keep coloring and let you guys get started. Okay, I'm almost done. I know that I'm almost done because I've got most of it colored in. You can't have any white spots unless you want to leave the white part of your eyes white. But everything else needs to be filled in monochromatic, one color with a variety of values. All right, masterpiece complete. I can't wait to see your monochromatic self-portraits.